Chat with you this morning about advocacy and just a little bit about myself. Like I said, I am from Omaha. I taught for 31 years. I'm about 6 feet tall. That's important. I taught kindergarten, okay? Yeah, and so somebody should have stopped me, but I taught kindergarten for 7 years, and then I was a reading specialist, and then I taught 5th grade. And I still work at my school 2 days a week in the library because I just can't not see kids. They're so amazing. So it's important that I'm 6 feet tall and I taught kindergarten because 3 years ago I had a 3-level spinal fusion from bending over and tying all those shoes. Eventually I said I don't tie shoes anymore, they're Velcro. But anyway, and so when I retired after my back surgery, one of my great friends, whose son happened to be in my class, was starting this company called Outreach Patient Advocates. And her name is Nikki Wick. We are a very small shop. There's 3 of us on the leadership team. And what I do is I just educate the public, I recruit employees for us, and just tell everybody that we are a service that exists and that we can help. So Nikki started the company because she noticed that she was taking her dad to the doctor, and he had a pretty complex medical history, and she noticed that they were dropping the ball. And she has a medical background. She's been in management for MD West 1 in like office management, billing, invoicing, insurance codes, all of that. And so she thought, if I know what I'm talking about and they're dropping the ball, what about people who don't know what they're talking about? Or what about people who don't have anyone to advocate for them? So she became a board certified patient advocate. And we are the only company of our kind in the Omaha area. We serve Columbus, we serve Lincoln, we do telehealth as well. And we're very unique because although hospitals have advocates, which is great, and insurance companies have advocates, we are independent patient advocates, which means all we care about is you. We only care about our client. So that's just a little bit about our company, but I really want to talk to you today about why advocacy matters so much. The healthcare system is complex, and it's not always built for you. It doesn't always have you in mind. And as folks with visual impairments, you face some unique challenges. I'm not telling you anything new. And so advocacy is just a huge piece of the puzzle. You might have inaccessible forms that you can't read. You might have prescriptions that you're unable to read. You might just not have great access to the information that your provider has for you. And so you also might have a doctor who just doesn't get it. Mm-hmm. And advocacy isn't just nice, it is absolutely essential for everybody. So, and it's not about being demanding or being that patient that the entire staff rolls their eyes and braces themselves when you walk in the door. It is really about persistence and tenacity and using your voice. And I think that we're coming to a point in our country that we are ready to use that voice and to get everything that we need and that we deserve, like folks ahead of me have said, to live the best life. That's really all we want for our clients. So you need to make sure that your voice is heard. You need to make sure that your provider sees you as a whole person, not just as someone with a condition or someone with a disability, but as a whole person who has a hobby and has kids and is annoyed by other people chewing and, the whole thing, not just a diagnosis. So when we're talking about self-advocacy, there are really 3 pillars to that. And the first one is just knowing your rights. And I'm so happy that this organization exists because of the support that you are able to give each other. And the resources, my goodness, that we have just in this room. I'm pretty blown away. And the vendors out front, that as a sighted person, and frankly as a teacher, this has been a big learning curve for me because I've been working with kids for 30 years. But you know, what I've learned working with primarily seniors is that Omaha and Nebraska have a lot of resources available for our seniors and for you know, for all of the people, but you need to know that they're there. So knowing your rights, getting that medical information for you in a format that you can access. And because we want you to be able to make good decisions about your healthcare. So whether that's large print, whether it's Braille or some digital format, you have that right to have your information easily accessible. You have the right for accommodations at your appointments, which includes bringing a personal advocate with you to help you listen to that information, translate it, and make good decisions. You have the right to be informed enough about the information your provider's giving you to make good decisions on treatment. You have the right to know about all your options. The second pillar is communicating clearly and confidently. You need to use your voice. Again, you don't have to be obnoxious. You don't have to be someone that the provider is dreading seeing, but you have to be tenacious and persistent. And simply advocating for yourself, you're not only advocating for yourself, you're advocating for everybody in your community and in the community at large. A lot of us grew up, I have had asthma my whole life, so doctors and nurses are my friends. I had back surgery, I have asthma, and my mom definitely grew up with white coat syndrome. When that provider came in, whatever he or she said was what we did. Well, I don't have a medical degree, but it is my right to say, okay, if this is your diagnosis, what else could it be? Let me play devil's advocate. And if this is your recommended treatment and you want me on this medication, how long will I be on this medication? Is this forever? What are the side effects of this medication? What other options are there? And what would happen if I chose to do nothing? What would my outcome be? Okay, so those are all questions that you need to ask when you're in that appointment and that we ask when we provide our services for our clients at outreach. You have to speak up because your provider, they may not know the extent of your visual impairment, you know, and that's really important information that sometimes people just don't know. So when you're your own advocate, it's really important to prepare for those doctor's appointments. One thing that we say at outreach is that you need to prepare for a doctor's appointment as though you're preparing for an appointment with your attorney who charges $800 an hour, okay? As we say in 5th grade, you need to have a poop in a group. If you're going to the GI doctor, you need to have a month-long tally of what you've eaten. When you ate it, how much you ate, what are your BMs like, how much fluid are you getting, what medications are you taking, your alcohol consumption, all of that. Because when you walk into the doctor's office, you might have, I mean, on average, certainly less than 15 minutes with your provider. I mean, let's get real. You have some time with the nurse, you might have some time with the PA, but that doctor's not hanging out for 25 minutes. They have, you know, we're all pretty hamstrung by insurance, and I believe, you know, with my whole heart that our providers are doing their best, but let's face it, everybody makes mistakes. And you don't want that mistake to be part of your life, because medical error is absolutely ubiquitous. The stories I could tell, and I'm sure many of you have been impacted by that, whether it is medication error itself, or whether it's some miscommunication in a transition of care, which is the most vulnerable time. If you have had a knee replacement and you're going, excuse me, from the surgery center to rehab, girl, My friend Nikki, who owns our business, her dad had that very situation happen, and he had had open heart surgery in his 40s. So he was on a blood thinner, and Lovenox, yeah. And he got there, and Nikki was with him the whole time, and she said, "Hey Dad, did you have your Lovenox shot?" And he said, "No, And so she asked the nurse. The nurse said, "Oh, it's not on the orders, ma'am." And Nikki said, "Well, can you check it?" "Oh yeah, I double checked, it's not on the orders." This happened 4 times, and finally a nurse said, "Oh, I'm so